I'm someone who's very passionate and concerned about what's going on in the Middle East, and I'd like to hear some of your insights and perspectives about what's going on in Palestine and Israel with respect to Canada and Canada's role in that.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I'm a two-state person. I think the Liberal Party is a two-state party. That is, we believe that the state of Israel should exist in peace and security, at peace with its neighbors, recognized by its neighbors, finally granted the right to exist in peace there. That's one state, and the Palestinian people have the right to a state, two states for two peoples living side by side in peace. I have first went to Israel and the Middle East in 1988 during Intifada I. I've been back recurrently. I've taught in many of the universities in Israel. I've been also to the refugee camps in Jericho. I've been to Gaza. I've been to Ramallah. I know the human suffering that has been caused by the situation over 50 years. You asked a question about Canada's role. I think it's very important for Canada's position to be clear. We're not neutral here. We believe firmly in the right of Israel to exist in peace and security. But we've always believed in the rights of the Palestinian people to have a state. We are not neutral about terrorism. We're not neutral about attacks on civilians. You can't be neutral between a legitimate democratic state and terrorist organizations. But we have to be a country that stands up and says, we must have peace here. Not just for you, but for the whole world here. This is the original powder keg. This is the place that menaces the peace and security of everybody. Not just Israelis, not just Palestinians, but everybody. And Canada has to be there to say, how can we help? And we can do all kinds of things. We have worked with the Palestinian Authority, for example, to improve governance and policing. We've been very quiet partners of the Palestinians to just improve their capacity to deliver services for their people. That's a kind of good Canadian thing. We could work in Gaza, if we could find some way to do it, to improve education and opportunity and open that society up. But it's under Hamas, so it's very tough to deal with Hamas. And don't forget Lebanon in this story. Lebanon the government's just collapsed. In this whole picture, you've got to have a stable Lebanon with a stable government, right? So we've got to be saying to the Syrians, we've got to be saying to all the people making life difficult for Lebanese democracy, we need a democratic Lebanon. That's important to the Palestinians, and it's also important to the Israelis. We need to do something about a climate of hatred in that environment. The way people are taught to hate each other. What can Canadians do to teach understanding, to teach reaching across the divides? What can we do with the refugee issue? Canada had a mandate in the Madrid conference way back in the 90s about helping to find solutions to the refugee problems. This is the kind of work that Canada should do. We are peacemakers. We got into this in 1956, creating the first UN peacekeeping force. That mandate, that vision of how Canada can serve in the Middle East has guided us from Mr. Pearson onwards and should guide us in the future. I feel with the Harper government that we have lost our balance, and we need to get that balance back. Balance is not neutrality. We are very clear in our commitment to a democratic state. We're very committed equally to a Palestinian state. But Mr. Harper has got us into a position in which not a word escapes the Harper government on the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to live in peace and security beside a peaceful and secure Israel. And getting the balance right is very important.